Have you ever considered the idea that guns save lives? So many people think of guns only as weapons that kill, but what if we looked at them as a means of safety and protection instead? Gun control is an issue that has the potential to affect millions of people across the country. People have been using guns to defend themselves for hundreds of years, and strict gun laws have historically shown us that when law-abiding citizens have access to guns, it creates safer environments. Guns are arguably the most efficient weaponry commonly available to the average citizen, and thus this makes them the most common weapon of choice for people trying to protect themselves, their families, and other innocent people. If strict gun laws go into place, this is obviously affecting law-abiding citizens who are left defenseless because they no longer have access to firearms, and people who are not obeying the law will obtain guns anyways. Making firearms available to every citizen and educating people about gun use and safety is a much more effective means of gun control. According to a study published in the 2000 Journal of Quantitative Criminology, U.S. civilians use guns approximately 989,883 times per year to defend themselves and others from crime. That's almost 1 million times every year that someone has defended themselves using a firearm. A nationwide survey in 1993 found that out of 4,977 households, at least 0.5% had members who had used a gun as defense in a situation where they thought someone would have most certainly been killed if they had not had access to a gun for protection. This may sound like a small number, but when applied to the whole population of the United States, this statistic amounts to 162,000 of these incidents every year. That same 1993 nationwide survey found that out of 4,977 households, at least 3.5% had members who had used a gun for protection of property at home, work, or somewhere else. When applied to the whole population of the United States, this statistic amounts to 1,029,615 households who had members who had used a gun for protection of property at home, work, or somewhere else. When you realize how many times guns are used to protect innocent people, it seems unreasonable and counterproductive to want to take them away from people who are using them for protection. While some people might assume that having stricter gun laws will decrease the rates of crime and murder in our country, the majority of the time that is not the case. There are cases all throughout history, all across the country, that have shown us where the tightening of gun control laws has caused murder and crime rates to skyrocket in the areas that these laws were enacted. In 1976, Washington, D.C. passed a law that banned people from owning handguns and required that firearms kept in one's household be stored unloaded and either be disassembled or have the trigger lock taken off. During the time that this law was enacted, from 1976 to 2008, the homicide rate in D.C. averaged 73% higher than when the law was not in effect. These numbers make it hard to deny that guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens make for safer communities no matter where you are in the country or even the world. An article in Psychology Today titled "We Need Stricter Gun Laws" says that Chicago has both very strict gun laws and a high level of gun-related violence. The author mentions that people can easily go outside of Chicago to where there are less strict gun laws and obtain firearms and bring them back into the city. Although the author is advocating for stricter gun laws here, the point he makes actually justifies my point of view. I believe that Chicago should have less strict gun laws because, as the author stated, people can easily go outside of the city, obtain guns, and bring them back in to commit crimes against people who are left defenseless because they have obeyed the law. These strict gun laws are not doing anything to stop the amount of gun-related crimes in this city. While you may not agree or support the loosening of gun control laws, you should still appreciate the benefits that come along with allowing citizens to own handguns for protection and self-defense. When I asked my audience whether or not they believe that U.S. citizens should be given the right to own a gun, all responses were yes, citizens should be given this right. My audience also disagreed with the idea that policemen, people serving in the military, and people working as security guards should be the only people that should be given the right to own guns. When asked if they thought tightening gun control laws would decrease the rates of crime and murder across our country, people disagreed that this would be true, which is the most accurate response, as I've shown you, according to the Washington, D.C. statistic. When you look at all the good firearms do for people who respect their power and use them correctly, it seems absurd to want to take them away from these people. But that is exactly what strict gun laws will do. They will take guns away from law-abiding citizens who use them for protection, while criminals who will have access to guns either way will have the upper hand in violent scenarios. We don't want to handicap our citizens. We want to enable them, and the best way to do that is by giving them the freedom to defend themselves.